Hello, my name is Susan Rushton, as you know, and this is Muse. And this is the show on which I get to talk about the people who are delighted by art and who change communities with their art. The 8 muses long ago were the goddesses of science and the arts. And so this is Muse. My guest today is Mark Berry, who has been my guest at least twice before. Thank you. Thank you for coming back, Mark. Now, and can we share your email?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mark Berry, Berry, 869 @gmail.com. And I keep seeing you. And that's why I asked him to join me. Because I keep seeing him where I go. I go to a play, there he is. I go listen to music, there he is. And I have never gone to your your drum circle stuff, but that's where you're going to be. So let's talk about that.
Great. The way that it came about is because as a storyteller, which we'll get into,
you bet.
I listened to stories from my grandfather when I was preschool, and I got fascinated with stories. And one of the genres of stories that I've always been fascinated with is Native American stories, the tales about the bunny rabbit and how things came to be.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that in our modern society, the seasons just kind of come and go. My days are not very different between summer and fall. Same kind of thing in our modern society. And I miss the changing of the I miss the awareness of the changing of the seasons.
Something has happened. Something more. This last month is different than next month.
Right.
Okay.
And so to enjoy the changing of the seasons and to feel more connected with the ecology and what's going on, I decided to start these drum circles, and we have them 4 times a year.
Now, when did you start?
Oh,
gosh,
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
And they've happened in different locations over the years. And what we do is 4 times a year, on the equinoxes and on the solstices, we have a drum circle celebration. And we just had the spring, last month in March, we just had the spring spirit drum circle. And we talk about new growth and new beginnings and how people celebrate that with little eggs and chicks and bunnies and tulips and the things that happen in the springtime. And we kind of welcome the spring, and we kind of welcome ourselves to this season of the year, this time when these things are changing. Now the next one will be in June. It'll be the summer. So it happens 4 times a year.
Yeah.
The changing of the seasons, spring, summer, winter, fall. We just had the spring. We just had the spring equinox drum circle, which celebrates spring, which people represent by little eggs and bunnies and chicks and tulips and bulb plants growing up. And
now,
all
so you have eggs? Do you have? No. Okay.
No. What we do is everybody has a little drum and maybe a shaker or a rattle or a noisemaker or something like that.
And did they bring them, or do you have them there?
People are welcome to bring their own, and we have extras. Either way, it is very beginner friendly for people that have never been to a drum circle, have no clue what it is.
Okay.
That's what these are really guaranteed.
And do you have people coming who have always come?
There are some regulars that just love it and just have been coming for decades, and there's always new people. That's one of the fun things about it, is it's never the same twice. So it's always a different combination. Never know what's going to happen.
And are there more people every time?
No,
it's
sometimes
always
more, sometimes less.
Okay.
But always the right people somehow.
I like that. Define the right people?
The people who need to be there are the ones who show up every time.
What do you mean?
They have something to contribute, or they've just had a a loss of a loved one in their family, or they've just gone through some catastrophic changes in their life, and they need to connect with other people. One of the things we love about most everything I do, but especially the drum circles, is it's live. It's not a rerun. It's not a sneak preview. It's live, right here, right now. We're in the same
Here
room.
we are.
There are no screens. There are no big screens. There are no little screens. We're here breathing the same air, looking at each other's eyes, and we're singing some little chants, maybe about Mother Earth or Father Sky or whatever it is. It's always different, and it's always sweet is the word I like to use to describe. It's a sweet experience. And last spring, the last one, like often happens, near the end of, it's about 90 minutes or so, and near the end of the time, after we've drummed together and sang and chanted together and celebrated earth and nature, people are sometimes drawn to tears because it just feels so good to be accepted and supported and loved by other humans.
I'm getting teary listening to
Great.
it. Yeah, that's what a community.
So it's fun.
This Auburn.
Yes.
This Auburn. I love this community, and I'm grateful that you do this. And I've learned about this. I've heard this about this for years and have not appeared.
Well, and the way you hear about it is from the e-blast. I send out an e-blast to a couple hundred people quarterly to let them know it's happening and where it's happening. Sometimes the location changes, but it's always in Auburn. And if people will either call me or text me, my number's on the screen, then I'll get them connected, and I'll send them an email 4 times a year, and they can, if they're available, they can come or not, and at least they'll know.
And is this always on the specific date?
It's really close. What we do is sometimes the equinox or the solstice will happen on a Wednesday. And that's not a good day for everybody. So what we do is the Sunday evening closest. Sunday evening seems like a good time for most people that don't drive at night, and usually people are working or something on Sunday evening. So that's when we have it, the Sunday evening closest. Seems to work for most people.
How did you start this? What made you start it? I think you told me, but
yes. It was me noticing that. Well, another year went by, and then another 5 years went by since the last time we talked, and I thought, I'm not comfortable with that. I'd rather pay attention to the changing of the seasons and the growth that happens and the changes that happen during a year. Let me stop and just take a moment and celebrate each of the 4 seasons and kind of remember what's going on in nature and in our circadian rhythms.
And this is yours.
Yes, and there's been many other people that have helped over the decades.
Yes, but
I'm the champion. I'm the one that everybody rallies around. Every cause needs a champion, right? so that all the excited people can rally around. Yeah. And so I'm the one for this right now.
Cool. Yeah, that's just great. I regret that I have not done this, joined this.
Well, you're welcome to come.
Yes, I know.
There's always summer coming up, and after that there'll be fall. And
Yes, that's wonderful. Okay. So that's part of your work as a muse. So you wanted to talk about what you do for a living,
right?
Which is you're a massage therapist,
right? In the category of the healing arts, there's a lot of wonderful things that not everybody knows about. And I'll tell you how I got started. I was 19 and I was doing some, I guess you'd call it spiritual philosophy studies. And one of our teachers said to the class, as long as you're working on the inside with your meditation and your cleansing and mindfulness, you might as well also get your body attuned to what's going on inside. You might want to go see a chiropractor or a massage therapist. those terms were not terms in my birth family. In my family of origin, I never heard those terms. Right, exactly. And so I asked that teacher, do you know of anybody? Because I don't know of anybody. And she did. She recommended a chiropractor and a massage therapist. So I was 19 when I went on my own. I went out to seek these things out because I'm always curious. I want to know everything, like you. I want to know everything that's going on.
Everything.
Okay. FOMO, fear of missing out. We don't want that. So I checked it out. I had my first massage at 19, and when he was done and I got off the table, I felt like a different person. It was transformational for me. And I asked this man, Dr. Peter Navarro, Peter, please get in touch with me because I've lost touch with him. I'd love to talk to him again. But anyway, I said to him, I don't suppose I could ever do anything like you just did, but is there any way I can help get the word out? Is there any way I could help? Because I had no idea that feeling in my body and connected and balanced, I had no idea that anything like that was available. And he looked at me in the longest silent look that I've ever had before or since. When he finally spoke, he said, Mark, if you're serious, and we'll know right away whether or not you're serious, I'll allow you to be my apprentice, and I'll teach you everything I know. And we kept our day jobs to pay the bills, and he had classes. He had classes in different aspects of healing arts and meditation and chakras and whatever, and evenings and weekends, and we kept our day jobs. And so I attended all of his classes, and I was the apprentice, literally the apprentice. I would wash the teacups, I would sweep the stoop. I was literally an apprentice, which people today just don't have that opportunity. It's so rare to be an apprentice to a master teacher, and I feel so grateful that I had the opportunity. Well, after about 3 years of attending all of his classes, then pretty soon I was leading the classes. Now he was in the room in case I got a question that I didn't understand. And after each of our gatherings, everybody else at the end would go home. He and I would go into the back room where the table was, and we would take turns practicing the healing arts on each other and giving each other feedback. And after 5 years, he stuck out his hand and said, that's all I have to teach you, go forth and prosper. And so I've been doing, since 1967, I started part-time with friends and family, and it gradually grew. And when I moved to Auburn in 1984, I thought to myself, I wonder if I could make a living doing what I love to do, and there were all those reasons why you can't do it. And, 12 starving massage therapists, you're the wrong gender, you're too old, all those things came up.
In 1984, you were too old, far too old. Sure.
To start something new, yeah, those thoughts. We sometimes have those thoughts. That keep us from pursuing our dream or bliss, and I'd had those thoughts, and I thought to myself, what if I'm lying on my deathbed and I'm ready to leave this life? And I said to myself, I wonder if that would have worked. I wonder if that.
So why didn't I?
I don't want it. So why didn't I?
Yeah.
So I gave myself permission, which is a powerful thing to do. I gave myself, you know what? All I have to do is give it my best shot. Win, lose, fail, by whose standards, none of that matters. As long as I give it my best shot and I know that I did. That's all I need to do, and I'll be satisfied with that. Well, when you go into something with passion and love, and you don't care about failing or winning by whose standards, you can't help but succeed, I found out. And things came together. One of the first, back then they had a phone book, they had a paper book.
A phone book. That was a long, long time ago.
And I had a
Sure, you were in there.
I had a person trade. I didn't have money, so we traded. I gave massage to pay for my little ad in the phone book. And another person, I needed a business card. Another person, someone in his family wanted to trade massage for printing my business cards. And it was amazing how things just fell together like it was divine order or something, like it was supposed to happen. And I believe that the willingness to just give it a shot, give it your best shot. If you want to write your book or invent your widget or whatever it is you want to do, I
Do it.
encourage you to give it your best shot, win, lose, or fail. Who cares? The important thing is, I did it.
Yes.
And I think you almost cannot fail when you go into something with that kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
So that's what you do.
I do, and I'm semi-retired now, but I still see clients I work in a doctor's office with doctors, and 3 days a week, and that's plenty, and so call my number on the screen if you want to find out more, and not just about me. We have naturopaths, we have homeopaths, we have acupuncturists, we have lots of healing arts people in this wonderful community of ours, and I'm glad to be the reference, the clearinghouse. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to call me or text me or email me, we've got that too, I'll be happy to discuss what might,
Yeah.
because I didn't know, and I'd like to help people know what's available
Sure.
that might help them.
So, but you don't do your massage therapy only for money. You do it because you make people feel good.
Good point. Good point. I do it as I'm also an ordained minister, so I'm used to doing things by donation. So I do my little part-time retirement healing arts practice by donation. So if people think, oh, I can't afford it, well, you can afford me.
Okay.
Because it's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
It's done out of love, and I feel
And
so good doing it.
Has that been always the way it is?
No, there was a time when I
this
felt
is-
that I needed to have a fee, and I felt I needed to have a rate, so much per hour and all that stuff. It happened in a dream, amazingly enough, and it was clear as one of those clear dreams that you need to not have a fee. You need to go do it by donation.
Huh.
I thought, well, how in the world can I pay the bills just by donation? Again, my mind, my ego mind wanted me to trip over that. And I said, no, I have to do it because I felt guided to do it. So I said, okay, by donation. And the next month, I looked at the books. The next month I had seen exactly the same number of people, but I made more money somehow by donation. And some people,
Perfect.
by donation, I can see people I can see waitresses, I can see people that need it but can't afford it, people that clean houses for a living.
Yeah.
That can't afford to go to anybody else, and they can afford me. And then other people who have plenty of money, and they can be generous, and they felt like giving and being generous. And I would say to you, this extra, this tip, this goes to pay for that other person that can't pay anywhere near the going rate. And so you're not only giving this gift to me, you're giving this gift to someone you don't even know who can come in at a reduced rate. And you know what? That feels really good to the person who's giving.
And
So it works out beautifully.
and it feels good to you
Yeah,
because you see it and you feel it.
yeah. It's like it's not up to me. It's like the higher power, the creator God, somehow takes care of all this stuff. If I get out of the way and just let it flow, let it happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Magic.
Yes. Oh, well, that's fascinating. What did you start out to do?
Oh, I've done many things. I've been in sales most of my life, trying to make a lot of money without working hard. So I've sold real estate, cars, men's clothing, you name it.
Okay, but it's massage that
Renaissance man.
The Renaissance man.
And I always wondered, up until from 1967 to 1984, I wonder if I could actually make a living doing what I most love to do. It's a meager living, but I have a small monthly net. I drive an older car and I live in a small apartment, which is fine with me.
And you're happy.
And I'm happy. That's the thing. I'm doing what I love, and that's worth so much.
Yes.
And you see me out in the community doing what I love.
Yes.
You see me volunteering. It's one of the places you see me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is because, well, I'm a bachelor and I'm on a budget, so I volunteer to go to those music concerts and to go to those plays and those things. The way I see those is I volunteer.
Yeah.
And I work, and I get to help the community. I get to contribute something, and I get to see the shows for free.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, good.
So that's why you see me at those events.
Yes.
I'm having fun.
But so you're not necessarily deeply involved with them. You're just helping them.
My little
You're
practice.
just, forgive me, you're not working all the time for them.
Right.
But you're finding how you can help them.
Right.
Yeah.
They always need volunteers, ushers, bartenders, concessions. They always need volunteers, and I like doing that. And I'm a frustrated thespian. I'd like to audition sometime, and I'd like to try and be on stage sometime. But my little part-time career is like working swing shift, because so many people want to come in for the healing arts after work. And so I work evenings, and that's when all of the companies rehearse, is weekday evenings. So as long as I'm doing this, I'm precluded from auditioning. So the way that I can help is on the weekends, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday matinees. Those times I'm free, and I can go and I can help set up and clean up and usher people and serve people concessions, make popcorn, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I get to interact with the people in the community like you love to do. The most wonderful people in the community and the who's who come to those events. So I get to schmooze, and I get to see you when you come.
Yes,
and
he
say hi,
gets to see me, and I get to see you.
and dozens of other people.
Yeah.
They're wonderful, just like you. And so that's what
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
It's my entertainment and
Okay.
community fun.
I would. One of the things that I would really like to talk to you about is your writing. No, your storytelling.
Ah, yes. Well, as I mentioned before, at the knee of my grandfather when I was a preschooler, my grandfather was an actual cowboy. He actually, in his youth, he actually rode the Oregon Trail taking the cattle to the railhead, which I think was at St. Louis or someplace like that. It was months driving the cattle, and he loved music apparently, and he had songs that he could sing, and he could accompany himself on the harmonica, and he could sing songs and tell stories about riding on his pony and herding the little dogies and under the starlit sky and by the campfire and yada yada. And as a kid, I was just mesmerized by my grandpa doing that. And it seemed to me he could go from dawn till dusk and not repeat himself. When I was a preschooler, and I was just in awe. And so anytime there's storytelling, and then later on I became interested in the Native American community. I have several Native American friends, and so when they're having a gathering and they're having a storyteller, I'm always right there, as close as I can get to the storyteller, to hear the stories of the people and the stories of the culture. That's what started, and then it branched out to, well, all cultures. I want to hear the stories of the Italian culture and the Japanese culture, and everybody has stories.
Yeah.
Another thing about storytelling is that everyone is a storyteller. People don't realize it yet, but everyone is a storyteller. What you do when you meet somebody new is you tell them some of your stories and they tell you some of their stories. In that regard, everybody is a storyteller. And I don't want to miss out, so I want to know everybody's. I want to know all of your stories.
All of them.
All of them.
I don't know about that.
So that's what intrigued me about that. And again, when I moved to Auburn in '84, I got wind that there was some storytelling happening somewhere in town, and so I went to see what that was all about. And there's actually people that love to do storytelling, and I just became fascinated with that. And when's the next get together, and where are we gonna swap stories and all that kind of stuff? And I would go, and everybody would tell a story, and then they'd look at me, and I thought, oh,
what about you?
I'm supposed to bring something to the table. I just came to listen. So that's how I got started, and I better learn some stories, or they will quit asking me back. So that's where I started learning. I still rather listen, because I know my stories. I don't know yours. I'd rather listen and learn. But I do now enjoy storytelling as well.
Okay, yeah. And do you still tell stories?
Oh yes.
Where? When?
Good question. We used to have an Auburn Guild, but it fizzled around the COVID thing when people couldn't go anywhere. But there is a thriving guild in Sacramento, the Sacramento Storytellers Guild, and you just look it up. It'll be on the screen, the Sacramento Storytellers Guild. You can go on the internet and look it up and find out when and where. One of the things they do that I love is every third Saturday of the month, they get together for a story swap. And really good storytellers are drawn to this. I've told there a couple of times, but and since I live in Auburn, there in Sacramento, sometimes I watch on Zoom. I'm watching my pajamas, you know.
Okay.
And other times it's so good, I love to drive to Sacramento to be there and tell or participate as I can. Once a year, which they just had earlier in March, they have an all-day storytelling festival. So if you get on their mailing list, Sacramento Storytellers Guild, they, you'll find out about their monthly and their annual. And
Sacramento Storytellers Guild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really sweet people.
Would you be interested? Have you considered starting your own?
Well, we did have our own in Auburn.
But you?
Well, it was pretty much
yours.
Me and one other person.
Okay.
Yeah. A few years back, you had us here. You had Sherilyn Anderson and myself, and we were talking about storytelling. We used to put on a rather large event once a year in January here in Auburn, and after a certain number of years, I kind of got a little burnt out because it's a lot of work to put together a big festival.
Really?
And COVID came along, and we stopped, and I said, I want to participate, but I'm just kind of tired of organizing the whole thing, working all year long to do. Cheryl and I were doing that. She had a heart attack, and she decided to quit.
Oh, darn.
And I said, it's somebody else's turn to take the helm, to take the reins.
Yeah.
And, I'll be there like you guys. I'll be there and
I'll tell stories.
Chairs, I'll do all the stuff.
Yeah.
But somebody else needs to do the organization, and no one stepped up.
Okay.
So it just kind of faded away. So now I'm involved with Sacramento.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different storytelling. There's the, I'm not going to get the names right, but there's not just the Sacramento Storytellers Guild, which I'm very involved with, but there's other groups telling stories in and about Sacramento.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, great fun.
It's so old-fashioned.
It is.
But it's basic. Telling a story all by yourself. Not writing it down, not reading it, not taking your phone.
Right.
But telling a story.
That's the way people started.
Yeah.
I don't care what continent your ancestors came from. There was a time when they lived in little villages and little clans, and around the campfire at night, they didn't have radio and they didn't have TV. Everybody watched the same show, which was the night sky around that campfire.
And they can tell a story that this happened over there, and this happened and
And elders would tell the story of their people. The elders would tell the story of their grandparents and great-grandparents, and that's how people knew who they were in the community and in the world. And then 50 years later, that little child is now the elder, and they're telling the stories to the next generation and the next generation. So we all have it in our DNA. We all have it in our blood.
Okay. We have gotten to the end.
Okay.
I am thrilled to have talk to you, Mark Berry, again for this third time. And Mark Berry 869 at gmail.com. He does massage. He does the drum circle, and he's always around looking for something else to do. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Mark.
Thank you, Susan Rushton.
It's a kick to see you again.
The time went by awfully quick.
Yeah. Thank you very much.